Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. With less than 12 days to the general elections, INEC announces election will not hold in 240 polling units. The Lagos State government orders the closure of Christian school following the death of a student. On the foreign scene, Malawi drops criminal charges against the head of the anti-corruption agency, Martha Chizilma. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 of Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. Less than 12 days to the general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission has said that elections will not hold in 240 polling units. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this at a meeting with leaders of political parties this morning. Professor Yakubu stated that nobody chose to vote in these polling units. Earlier, he had said the commission will not support any candidate or political party in the forthcoming elections, as it is only interested in the electoral process. Ahead of the highly anticipated February 25 presidential poll, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has told Nigerians that it is time to make up their minds on whom to cast their votes for. Mr. Obi made this known in a tweet this morning, calling on all those sitting on the fence to decide now who will lead them and not waste the opportunity. Adding that the elders have failed us, the LP candidate said it is time for those born after independence to now be given the opportunity to reshape the destiny of the nation. Mr. Obi noted that what Nigeria needs now is a visionary, transformational leader capable of moving the country in the direction of national rebirth. In Lagos State, the State Ministry of Education has ordered the temporary closure of Christian School, Okpebi Ikeja, following the reported death of a student of the school, Whitney Adeyemi. A release signed by the State Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, said the closure was ordered pending the outcome of a full investigation into the unfortunate incident. Mrs. Adefisayo, on behalf of the State Ministry of Education, commiserated with Mr. and Mrs. Adeyemi, parents of Whitney, and prayed for the repose of her soul. The commissioner stated the government notes the impact of the unfortunate events on family, friends, and acquaintance of Miss Whitney and called for calm as it spares no effort in investigating the incident. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to allow old and new 200, 500, 1,000 naira banknotes to coexist as legal tenders for the next 12 months. The APC flag bearer also asked the Apex Bank to suspend all charges associated with online transactions and bank transfers till the current crisis is resolved. Mr. Tinubu made this known in a statement by one of his campaign spokesmen, Festus Keyamo, yesterday. He disclosed that he had nothing against the policy in principle. However, he was only concerned about its disruptive implementation and the hardship it has brought on the generality of the people. In the meantime, the Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, has warned that the continuous scarcity of the 200, 500, 1,000 naira new banknotes may lead to economic recession as well as severe food inflation. The forum, in a communique issued at the end of its meeting on Saturday, lamented that though the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN, said the federal government would comply with the order of the Supreme Court of Nigeria nullifying the February 10th deadline for the validity of the 3 old notes, Nigerians have not experienced any changes so far. The forum noted that the inability to use the new note has had far-reaching economic effects, leading to the emergence of the naira black market, severe food inflation, variable commodities prices based on the method of exchange. They consequently called on the federal government and the CBN to respect the rule of law and listen to the voice of reason expressed by Nigerians and several other stakeholders, including the Council of State, before the damage to our economy becomes too great to fix. The Department of State Services has invited a spokesperson for the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Femi Fani Kayode, over allegations of a coup plot ahead of the February election. Fani Kayode, a former minister under the Olusegun Obasanjo administration, confirmed the invitation in a statement this morning. He added that he would honor the invitation. Here in Osun State, a civil society organization, Urban Alert, has raised alarm over alleged threats and attempts to clamp down some of the activities of the organization through blackmail and malicious publications in Osun State. Urban Alert made this known today in a press statement signed by the organization's communications officer, Oluwatosin Olarewaju. In the statement, Urban Alert disclosed that a malicious publication was made by City Mirror News on the 24th of January 2023, in which the organization was maligned. While revealing that the falsified publication has been retracted by City Mirror News, the statement added that the group will be taking further legal action against the publication. Over the years, Urban Alert has mobilized citizens to hold government accountable on critical issues like mining activities in Osun State, environmental pollution, social injustice, and infrastructural development. The organization, however, called on the consciousness of Osun residents over the purported clampdown and moves to stifle its activities. To security matters, some hoodlums have attacked the Ogidi police station in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. It was gathered that the hoodlums, in their large numbers, invaded the area around 2:15 a.m. this morning in a Toyota Hiace bus, a Toyota Hilux, and 3 motorcycles. A source in the area said the hoodlums shot indiscriminately in an attempt to gain access into the police station, but were fiercely resisted by the police officers on duty. Although details of the incident were still sketchy, eyewitnesses said one of the hoodlums was gunned down in the exchange of gunfire with the security operatives. In Niger State, a divisional police officer and 4 other officers have been killed by bandits while repelling attacks on communities in Niger State. In a statement, State Police spokesperson Wasiu Abiodun said the bandits attempted to invade communities in Munya and Gurara local government areas. Mr. Abiodun disclosed that the officers were able to repel the attack on the market in Munya local government and also engaged the bandits during an attack on communities in Gurara local government over the weekend. He said although many of the bandits were killed, a divisional police officer in Paiko, Mukhtar Sabil, and 4 officers also lost their lives. The police spokesperson said the commissioner of police in the state, Ogundele Ayodeji, led a team to the location to recover the bodies of the officers. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be right back after this break.
James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored entitled Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution and the People, among 6 other books. Bola Ige was a colorful politician, elected governor Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bola Ige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bola Ige as a watershed character in history. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa. Educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner, he took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white suprematists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history.
You're welcome back. Let's talk health matters now. Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, Ifedayo Adetifa, says the agency had an emergency meeting in Jigawa State over the meningitis outbreak in the state. Dr. Adetifa, who disclosed this in a series of tweets via his Twitter handle, said the Emergency Operations Center meeting revealed the response, identified challenges, and proffered solutions to the outbreak. Meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges, a thin layer of the connective tissue that covers the brain and the spinal cord. If due to an infection, this inflammation can be caused by a variety of organisms, bacteria, viruses, parasites, or fungi, while injuries and certain drugs can also cause such inflammation. The common signs and symptoms are fever, headache, nausea and vomiting, neck stiffness, and altered conscious levels, and it can be transmitted from person to person through droplets of respiratory or throat secretions from infected people. Elsewhere, some civil society organizations, CSOs, have protested the alleged disobedience of court orders by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, demanding the sack of the Commission Chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa. The aggrieved members of the CSOs carried various placards with several inscriptions insinuating that the EFCC chairman must go during a protest in Lagos State over the weekend. Leaders of the group said their week-long protest is against the alleged politicization of the EFCC, disobedience of court orders, and the infringement of human rights of Nigerians by the anti-graft agency. Spokesperson of the anti-corruption group, Ayodeji Ologun, said they cannot watch the country's legal system be bastardized. And talking business, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, has expressed its commitment to ensure that in 2023, Nigeria makes more than $4.82 billion it's generated from non-oil export business in 2022. Ekiti State Coordinator, NEPC, Mrs. Iyabode Abe, said that the council, under the leadership of the Chief Executive Officer, Yakusak Ezra, will continue to promote the development of non-oil export in order to safeguard the nation's economy. Abe spoke in Ado-Ekiti at a one-day technical and training session on product packaging for exporters and small and medium enterprises in Ekiti State. The event was organized by NEPC, where the council donated 2 packaging machines to be domiciled at the Technical Incubation Center in the capital city for use by SMEs in the state to package their products. And outside Nigeria, Malawi has dropped criminal charges against the head of the anti-corruption agency, Martha Chizuma, following pressure from the country's main donors and local civil society groups. Chizuma was facing charges of criminal defamation over a leaked audio in which she allegedly made remarks suggesting that a number of senior government officials and some judicial officers were hindering the fight against corruption. In a statement over the weekend, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Masoko Chamkakala, said he discontinued the cases following a review and consultation with the Attorney General. But Ms. Chizuma's lawyer told journalists that the charges have not been formally dropped. The alleged defamatory remarks are contained in a secretly recorded private conversation that Ms. Chizuma had with a person not employed by her office. The lawsuit saw her suspended from office but before being reinstated to office last week by a high court. And outside Africa, some 46,000 homes have lost power as a cyclone called Gabriel lashes the north of New Zealand. Authorities have issued warnings of heavy rain and wind, and hundreds of flights have been cancelled. Some areas have declared a state of emergency as Gabriel nears the North Island. It comes weeks after Auckland, New Zealand, and surrounding areas were hit by record rainfall that sparked floods and killed 4 people. Emergency Management Minister Kieran McNulty told a media briefing today that the government is considering declaring a national state of emergency for only the 3rd time in the country's history. A state of emergency has already been declared in 5 northern regions, including Auckland. The declaration gives local authorities greater power to respond to dangerous situations and allows them to restrict travel and provide aid. Israel's far-right cabinet has approved the legalization of 9 illegal settler outposts in the occupied West Bank, drawing condemnation from the Palestinian Authority, PA, which calls the move an open war against its people. A statement from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office yesterday revealed more housing units are likely to be built in separate existing illegal settlements. More than 500,000 Israelis live in more than 200 settlements built on Palestinian land considered illegal under international laws. Palestinians say the settlement expansion threatens the viability of the future Palestinian state as part of the two-state solution. The United States, which provides billions of dollars in military aid to Israel, has yet to comment. But last month, its ambassador said the country opposes the authorization of Israeli outposts. And talking sports, Tottenham midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur has been ruled out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. The 25-year-old suffered the injury during the 4-1 defeat by Leicester City on Saturday when he was replaced after 65 minutes. Spurs said Bentancur had ruptured the anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee. The club disclosed that the midfielder will undergo surgery before beginning his rehabilitation with the club's medical staff. Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen yesterday received his Serie A Player of the Month award for January. Osimhen emerged the most outstanding player last month after scoring 5 goals in 5 league appearances. He was officially presented with the award by organizers of the Italian top flight yesterday. Osimhen continued his impressive form in front of goal after scoring in Napoli's 3-0 home win against bottom side Cremonese in yesterday's league fixture. It is Osimhen's 17th goal in 18 league games and has now scored in 6 consecutive Serie A games and remained top scorer. Osimhen is the first Napoli player to score in 6 straight Serie A games since Gonzalo Higuain in 2015-2016 season. And before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. Less than 12 days to the general election, the Independent National Electoral Commission has said that election will not hold into 140 polling units. The Lagos State Ministry of Education has ordered the temporary closure of Chrisland School, Okpebi Ikeja, following the reported death of a student of the school, Whitney Adeyemi. On the foreign scene, we brought you news that Malawi has dropped criminal charges against the head of the anti-corruption agency, Marsa Chizuma, following pressure from the country's main donors and local civil society groups. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And that ends the Spring News at 12. I am Damilola Raphael. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.